All right. Good morning, everyone, and thanks for joining us today. We're excited to have Jim Paluch, president of JP Horizons, and Scott Wentworth, president of Wentworth Landscapes, with us today. Jim has the unique ability to help organizations address obstacles and discover opportunities that lie between the current state that they are in and the future state that they desire to move towards. His talent in facilitating a group and creating a collaborative effort where ideas and solutions can emerge to be implemented always produces inspiration results for everyone involved. Jim has created innovative training programs like the Face-to-Face Tour, the Working Smarter Training Challenge, leadership jams, the sales jams, and have elevated the success of hundreds of companies across North America. Jim's 3 books have sold over 600,000 copies, and he is a funder of Come Alive Outside with the mission to create awareness, intention, and opportunity for people to live healthier lives outside. Scott leads a team of 100 landscape professionals in the multi-discipline company that includes landscape architect, design and build, swimming pools, and landscape management. In his 40 years of working in the profession, Scott has never been more excited about the positive impact we can have on our clients and communities. Community health and wellness and environment and sustainability are a key issue that landscape profession needs to embrace and learn towards moving forward in this decade. It is meaningful work that focuses on the Wentworth Landscapes team to serving their clients. Scott is also a funding member of the Come Alive Outside in Canada, serves on the board of Communities in Bloom, and designs feature plantings along the Highway of Heroes. Before we get started, just a few brief housekeeping notes. We do have the chat available on the side for you to ask questions. There will be question breaks throughout the presentation and at the end. Once the webinar has concluded, we will be sending out an email with the playback link to this presentation. Now let's listen in and see what inspiration and energy we can find with Jim and Scott. Take it away.
Well, thank you, Carrie. And what a privilege it is to be back on a webinar. And thanks for everybody that's taking the time to get on. Scott, just one quick question, and then we'll maybe jump in here. Isn't it interesting how great we can sound when we write our own bios? You know, I could have listened to that all day. That was it's interesting. So bios are a funny thing. Scott, I love what Carrie just said. Maybe people are coming on looking for some inspiration and some energy, and that's a great reason to get on. So I'm just curious, if I can put you on the spot, what has you inspired today? What's inspiring you now?
I think there's an awful lot of things to be inspired by and to be energized by. We're referring to this as the pause, and I think every situation like this creates opportunities. And if you sift through all the negative stuff that we're hearing and such, there's some glimmers of just some wonderful awareness that's being built within our communities and with our clients. You know, we'll see reports about how the environment is healing itself in the situation, how much clearer the skies are, how much cleaner the water is. People's awareness of their properties and their gardens and their parks as they're walking past them. But people looking out into their gardens every day for weeks and weeks on end is just building a greater awareness. And certainly when we come off of the pause, people are just going to love to be getting outside, to be socializing. So all these things, I think, really inspires me and energizes me for what's in store for the landscape profession on the other side of this pause.
What a great term for this. So I'll just let you know, I'm going to use that a couple of times, and if you use it more than 5 or 6 times, it becomes your own statement. So I have it also proves to us that words are tools. They can either open our minds or close our minds, and I think that's what's going to happen here a little bit. But so we're on the pause. I think what's got me inspired is one, the chance to do some webinars like this. I think it's great to be able to do it. We did one a week or two ago with some great folks and with LO, and so there's a lot of learning that's taking place. It's got me inspired. I pulled out an old book that I hadn't read in a long time, The Go-Getter, and if you can find it any place, get it and read it. It's an hour and a half read, and it will inspire you for a lifetime. So a chance to learn, a chance to connect, a chance to do some different things, a chance to, and I think, doesn't it make us really, when we're able to get out and really just appreciate outside and in the woods and watching a dog run or just a walk by ourselves or with someone, there's a lot of inspiration in that. So I think it is a great time. And this pause that has happened here is going to just create greater things on the other side of it. And so we've talked this idea of I know I should, but. Now, one of the things I want to challenge you later on here is we're going to be maybe getting some input from all of you. So if you have something that you know you should be doing, but go ahead and just chat room that into Carrie, and we're going to play stump the webinar guys is what we'll do here, and see if you can give us something that maybe we can help at least as a group and a collaborative effort to getting some answers, because chances are the thing you know you should be doing, but someone else that's on is thinking the same thing, and so that coming into to Carrie, and we probably can't get to all of them, but we'll get to as many as we can here in a few minutes. So Carrie, if you'll watch that and see what people we should be doing, but so there's a couple of goals that we want to go through here, and Scott and I thought about what could we do. I know I should, but we're going to take a look at that statement. We'll start first of just talking about that statement and what it could say about us and the power in that statement and how it could either open doors or close doors. Then we'll take some time to get into those specific things that you're looking at that I know that you may know you should be doing, and then we'll spend some time on how do you create a plan? Okay, now we convince ourselves we should do this. Then maybe just a few thoughts on how we can create a plan to follow through and make that happen, and then hopefully end up here getting us all to just think about the legacy that we're creating right now through our profession, a time that we'll always look back to in history, and the difference that we can make if we and are making, really, as we're all coming together and working like this. So, Scott, I got to ask you, how many times have you heard yourself as a business owner ask yourself that question? I know I should, or I know we should be, but.
Absolutely. It's something that comes with awareness, right? And the more you're looking at things that are inspiring you, at your team, at things that you know that you can be doing better, or you can be serving your clients or your team better, there becomes an awareness of that. And then it's, okay, how do I fit that in with everything else that's going on right now? And I think I right now, with the amount of information through these webinars and just the emails and stuff that are coming through, it really does feel like we're drinking through a fire hose of information that's coming at us. So I think I certainly feel personally very much, look at all these things that I should be doing, but what are all the constraints? What are the limitations? What are the energy levels that stop us from being able to get there?
I love how you just said it, and the word energy. So this is one of the things to think about when we hear ourselves saying, I know I should, but. I know I should, but. Now, we've got two ways we could say it. You could watch the person that is saying it like it is a plea for psychiatric help. That like it is, I know I should, but. I know I should, but. Well, we've got some work to do with that person just to get them up to where they can talk to themselves in a better way. And chances are, without the energy, we're not going to find the inspiration to move forward. But just the way you said it, Scott, just the way I watched you there on the screen, we've got all this stuff coming at us, and I know I should, but we know that we're not going to get to all of it, but I bet we get to something in that I know I should list. And so as we think of I know I should, but be thinking about how you're saying it. And if you catch yourself saying, well, I know I should, but stop and just for kicks, go look in the mirror and just clap your hands as big as you can and just say, hey, I know I should, but if it does anything, it'll make you laugh at yourself. And I guess that's a good place to start, you know? So drinking from a fire hose, Scott, how do we start to sort through it? Because it's great to be able to say, I know I should, but at least it says we have a clue. We know something we should be doing, as opposed to, I don't know what I need to, I don't know what I can do. I know I should, but is a good thing because it tells, how do we sort through it?
Well, I think that's that becomes the starting point, right? And it, as you mentioned, there's awareness that comes with that, and awareness needs to move to intention. So you can move forward on that statement, or it's almost like divergent paths in your mind as you're thinking through these things, and as we're walking the path through the pause. That, you know, here's this awareness of these things that we need to be doing. And now it's but I have all these constraints or these other things that will pull me away from it, or it's an and, you know, if you're thinking of yourself, and if I do this, I'm going to be able to achieve it. I think the other element of that is, with the amount of information that we're getting, we need to filter this information by our priorities. And right now our priorities are to be giving, not to be selling. So how do we give our teams? How do we give our clients? How do we give our communities? So we need to set some filters to be able to move from but to and. Here's how we can contribute or serve these various elements that way.
I love the idea of putting it on ourselves. You know, I think if you look at I know I should, 50% of the words in that statement are about us. You know, I know I should. So that is a good place to put the responsibility, because really that's the one place that we can control it in doing it. And so maybe I know I should be looking at ways to be giving, ways to be doing something, ways to be making a difference. I know I should. Is an important thing. You know, you said something else there, and you brought the word and in, which would be a tremendous thing. But is an interesting word, isn't it? It just erases everything that we said. You know, Scott, you're one of the most handsome fellows I've ever seen, but you know,
But when you get within that quarter mile, things change.
Yeah. That's right. But you might want to try makeup on the next webinar. But putting but into and does keep us moving forward. I also wonder what it would be like if we there's an old I think an old Tony Robbins saying that we need to turn our shoulds into musts. Turn our shoulds into musts. And so there may be those things that we're so aware of, so committed to, and wanting to do. I know I must do whatever people are chat rooming into carry right now. I know I need to this. I must do this. And then filling that in is an important thing. Funny. It's so much of this is missed in the busyness of life. I think these simple things that we can do, and sometimes we almost have to go on a little bit of faith that, okay, let me try this. All right, these guys, I turn my shoulds into must. There's the old saying, we end up shoulding all over ourselves. I don't know if you've ever heard that. Shoulding all over ourselves, Carol said, shoulding. And we don't want to be doing that, but turning our shoulds into must. And there's another old saying: if you're going to take the island, burn the boats. And so there's no retreat. You commit to doing something and being aware of it. So this idea of the things that we must be doing is important. And if we do those, it gives us some advantages. So what advantages in the pause right now, Scott, throw this at you. I'm interested. advantages are you looking to maybe create for your customers, your community, your team, your family, yourself? What are some of those things?
Well, there really are some gifts that come with this opportunity. In 60 years, I don't remember the world stopping and us collectively being able to take stock, prioritize what are the opportunities that come with that. And I think one of them really is self-improvement. What are those opportunities to make ourselves better in a diverse range of things? It doesn't just have to be technically or whatever. How can we be led by our interests in being able to develop ourselves better, become a stronger contributor to our team, to our family, to our community? And this, if only the world stopped for, I don't know, a month or two, what would we do? Well, now we have that opportunity to be able to take advantage of taking stock and looking at where those opportunities are.
Yeah. What a wonderful statement, that there's some gifts that come along. And maybe all of us, if that was one thing I just wrote down, that will be a takeaway for me from the time spent on this webinar is what gifts am I really being aware of? And am I looking at things that maybe do not seem like gifts at first as a tremendous gift that I could build off of? And so some of the advantages we have right now is we are able to stop, find the gifts, reflect, create some awareness, and use this time to know that when we get on the other side of it, we're just ready to go. We've got some great things that are going to be trying. I was talking to someone early this morning who just was out driving, and the great business owner in Ohio, headed to one of his offices just to see how the things were going, and they weren't working, and he said it just hit me of all the good things that are going on right now, what my team is doing. We've got people that's wanting to come to work for us, all these good things that are happening. And I think he was just aware of it. And he also said, I'm trying to figure out what's the next businesses that are going to take place on the other side of this. He told me the story of somebody in Charlotte that took their hydro seeder. Instead of hydro seeding with it, they are out sanitizing kids' playgrounds and spraying it through the hydro seeder. So I really appreciated that thought of, I have this piece of equipment. How can I help my community? Not charging for it, not doing anything, just doing and giving, like you were saying. And so who knows the franchise that's going to come out of sanitizing children's playgrounds as they come along.
Sanitize are us.
Yeah, sanitize are us. So the idea of changing words, I must do something, and if I do that, here's the advantage that's going to come from it. Also, I must do this, yet I'm not sure if I have time. I don't know how to do it. Yet I'm not sure if anybody will be interested in it. The word "yet" is a wonderful thing to put into that statement. It just kind of starts to line out. There's something I need to go learn more about. I need to learn how to do that. I need to learn how to create interest. I need to learn how to find and make that happen. So that idea of changing words. So that's the strategy, I think, in the first goal that we wanted to put down here is, I know I should, but is a wonderful start for all of us if we start to then build off of it. I know I must, and is a great place to get to. And so, Scott, I know one of the things, and maybe this is, let's kind of transition, if we can, here into the idea of maybe some of the things that are coming in that I know I should, or you step back. I want to challenge you to talk about it. Then Carrie, maybe we'll jump into a few if you've got some. And if we don't have any, make them up, okay? We just there's one thing that have been really interested in talking to you over the past couple of weeks is the personal growth side that you've got your team on, and I picture you stepping back saying, you know what, I know I must use this time to develop professionally the rest of my team and use this pause. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Sure, glad to. And I think it's exactly that. It stems from, if you use a sports analogy, we're really in an extended off season at this point now. So I think there's opportunity there for our team to develop their skills. So we've created what we're calling the Professional Development Team Challenge. So the way that's structured is that everyone finds a partner, so they're teams of two, come up with a team name, some kind of a silly team name to go along with it. And what we're doing is we're scoring people 1 point for every 15 minutes that they spend in professional development. And there's so much information out there right now, whether it's watching a webinar like this, whether it's watching a video, there's all sorts of professional resources, TED Talks, books, whatever that might be that people have an interest in. It's not a set program of, thou shalt read these things. It's, find something that you're interested in and lean towards that. And then our team reports in on Wednesdays at noon and Fridays at noon. So we're keeping a leaderboard for it as well, a scoreboard for it. So we know what teams are where on it. It's something that by having a team, you're accountable to somebody else on your team for it. And then there's a bit of friendly competition and gamification with it as well. And then just to add to that, we're going to give out $100 gift certificates to each member of the team that's leading at the end of each week. So we're investing some money into this. We're investing some money into the resources for it as well, so that we have a broader range of resources for people to be learning from. And that becomes a dynamic thing as well. So if you find something that you find interest, share it so that we can all gain from that. So with that, then when the season starts up, we're ready to go. We've got a better team for it. People have grown themselves with it. We've built a team around it as well and use that as a method and opportunity to really be better by the time we come off pause and go get them when the game starts.
This silly smile that's on my face, as you see right now as you're talking, I'm thinking, wait a minute, friendly competition at Wentworth? It doesn't happen that way. I am sure there are people looking at the scoreboard every 15 minutes, to see what it gets to. But the idea of people owning their own responsibility for finding something to get better, to improve them, personal growth. And I'm going to just challenge everybody listening. If you heard that, if you just heard what Scott was just talking about, we could either get to the end of this pause and look back and say, something, I should have, which are very sad words. The only thing I should is I should have is very sad words. I should have done what Scott was doing. I should have took more time to develop a training program or got on a few more webinars. I should have. And I think that's the challenge I want to bring to you is you've got time. You've got time. It's like what's going to be your first step after this webinar is finding something and making the best use of it. And you don't have to do it all. I love what you're saying, Scott. How much would get done if it was up to you to put together every training program that you wanted them to look at, every book you wanted them to read, find everything? No, I think what you did was a smart move. You put it back on them, and now everybody's growing and doing it, and you're creating a resource from it. So just a great move with it.
I think the other thing that addresses, and I think everybody needs to find their own way on this, and that is that teams are forged through adversity. And anyone who's ever coached knows that there is a moment that a group of individuals becomes a team. And it's so real and visceral, you can feel it in the pores of your skin. Everybody on the team knows, the coach knows that, yeah, we've come together as a team. And I think there's challenges and opportunities now to be able to do so. It is a gift to have some adversity to be able to focus the team on, but now you need to find, how do we work on that collectively together to be able to find that moment that we strike, that we become a team through confronting this adversity and then working together to overcome it. So it's just one part of it, but I really think that is an area that we all can focus on in being able to strengthen our teams and hit that point of when that group does become a team.
So those that, if you just heard that, teams are formed through adversity. I sure hope you wrote that down. That is a keeper too. And there may be a few of you saying, well, man, if teams are formed through adversity, I sure have a great team, because I have a lot of adversity going. I also like Lou Holtz, the coach of Notre Dame years ago, said, if I don't have a problem, I'll create one, because he knows what happens when there's a problem, and a team can get involved in it and start to solve that problem. And it does. So teams are formed through adversity. So we have that opportunity to pull that team together. So training is one of those things we know we should be doing, and so now maybe to be able to say, I must be training, and I'm going to put it back on the team to help create the program. I'm going to create a game out of it. We're going to keep score. We're going to compete. I had somebody this morning say that he created a game, and in Chicago, and the first person to get to a certain point in that game, he is personally going to wash and detail their vehicle for them. Easy, fun thing, that can happen. And we've had people swim across ponds, bring in dunking machines, all kinds of things to put out there as a prize that can create that fun and unity. So, Scott, can we jump in and see what the world listening in right now feels that they should be doing, and we can help turn that should into a must? And Carrie, did everybody leave, or are people still listening?
Oh, we've got some people still listening.
Good.
So now one question actually was, how do I encourage new staff that I haven't met yet?
Yeah. So let's take that one. And you think this is where the moderator gives the expert a chance to think on the question. All right. This is the part of the webinar where that happens. So let's take that, turn it into a should question. Yep. I should be connecting with my new people, but probably not going to get very far on that one. But I must be connecting with my new people, and that will allow me to do whatever. So Scott, I must be connecting with my new people. Let's put the and after that. What will that allow us to do if we're connecting with the new people that haven't started yet?
They're going to then feel connected to part of the team. And again, if we use that team analogy, I think things like we actually, great timing on this, in that our operations manager is traveling this morning to go be meeting with 3 of the new members of our team to drop off the paperwork that's needed for that, and also to be dropping off hats for them. Almost like the drafts in professional sports where they march somebody up and then put the team uniform on them. So it's a little thing, but I think it's an important thing. And also being able to communicate weekly as to, when am I going to be getting started on my job? We don't know, but here's the factors that we're weighing, and here's what we're doing in the interim for it. So I think really comes down to making sure that you're connecting them back to the team as well, and getting them excited about being part of it.
It's a beautiful question. It's one that I didn't think of, and I think it's a great question that has come in. I think I must be connecting with my new people that haven't started yet, and if I do that, I may redefine the way I do my onboarding processes from this point on. We have a wonderful chance to be doing onboarding pre-starts right here on a webinar. If I was putting a big team together and had some people out there, I would do some fun things. You know what I would do? I'd do a webinar like this, try and get like 12 or 15 of our people on, so there'd be a lot of pictures on the screen in the Zoom meeting. And then I would ask the maybe do things like ask the new employee, which person do you think is not really a member of this team? All right, and think maybe you could thwart that person. Make them look very unprofessional, unorganized, or which person do you think falls asleep in meetings, or which person? And the idea is we start to show them that we've got a pretty cool culture here in our organization, and we can do some fun things. So we can be very proactive now in rethinking that. I want to tell you something that works. Best technology in the whole wide world. Are you ready? Take notes on this. This is the greatest piece of technology that's out there, sometimes so underutilized. A thank you card and a stamp. You get these cards, they're about this big, and you get a pen like this, and you write, we're really looking forward to having you as part of our team and the contributions that you're going to make in 2020. Any questions, please let us know. Look forward to meeting you in person, or look forward to the day that you arrive here. They will put that up on their refrigerator like their 6th grade report card, and know that that's pretty cool, because most of us never got a thank you note from an employer or someone, and yet we know if we do see a card in the mail, when we go to get it and sort it through it, and it's card, it's the first thing we open. So I'm going to challenge that person that maybe ask, I know I should be connecting with my new people, but I know I must connect with them, and I'm sending thank you cards. I'm sending hats. I'm dropping off a goodie bag. Whatever we need to do it, because the payback and the return on that investment is tremendous. Good thoughts, guys. Great question. Anything else, Gary?
We've got another one here from Kurt. I know I should be seeing opportunities to grow the top line and bottom line by offering some different services and building relationships with prospects to commercial clients. But
that's a good one. That one's so simple, I'm going to let Scott answer that question.
I think.
What do you think when you hear that question? I know I should be seeing new opportunities. What comes to mind?
I think really trying to get your mindset into one that's outside of the norm. This isn't a normal situation. We're talking about getting back to normal. We won't be getting back to the same normal. The new normal won't be the same normal as what we've had. And we don't fully know what those opportunities are yet. But I think having our radar up, having our heads up, our eyes open for looking for what those opportunities are, I think is probably the most critical step in it. And then you're viewing the world through a lens that when those opportunities come out, they're going to just leap forward to you. It's like when a friend says, I'm getting this kind of a new car, or you're getting that kind of a new car. You've never seen them on the road before, but now every other person is driving them. You've got that filter and that lens that you're looking for where those opportunities are, and you'll find them. It'll come to you pretty clearly when you have that view for looking for them.
I think it comes back to the awareness piece that you started us off with earlier. And as Kurt asked here, he's aware that there's opportunities out there. How do I begin to find them? We know we won't find them sitting in a closet and meditating. Gee, I wish I could find some. No, it is truly taking our pause, listening to webinars, reading books, being out. If anything, if we can just go for a drive at times and drive by some of our properties and go, you know what? There's something that I think I should be thinking about. I believe also, and this just I don't mean to jump right into maybe just a specific thing, but as I'm thinking about it, and Scott, you and I are both so committed to Come Alive Outside and helping people, just really helping all of us landscape professionals realize the important work we do in creating those places and spaces that people can get out. I think there's some way of stepping back and starting to think there is going to be a hunger and a need and an appreciation that's growing right now, as you've said, for the outside and in the environments and finding places for people to connect, because we're probably going to be doing more of this because this is so effective. There's going to be more people working from home after this. It's just going to happen. They're going to see them more. But we still want to get some people coming in, and we don't want to bring them in, put them in an ugly office and sit in a conference room for a meeting. How can we start creating outdoor thinking spaces? How can we start creating places where when we can gather, that we're gathering in a place that we can think and that we're inspired? And so just as Apple came along and recreated the music business with this little iPod thing years ago, we need to be looking at how do we create new opportunities in our business by branding something different. Instead of we used to talk about, instead of putting an outdoor smoking area in, let's put an outdoor thinking area in. Another thing, outdoor smoking or outdoor thinking area. And you'll watch property managers go, yeah, that's a good idea. So I must be looking and finding the opportunities, especially with my commercial customers. And so let's put some ands after that. And if I could engage my team to do this, I'm going to help create awareness for them. If I can get my team that's able to go out and take a look at their sites, and maybe it's account managers that are out looking at their sites. They're just needing something to do, to take a drive in the evening. While they're looking at opportunities for new businesses, they're also maybe looking at opportunities for enhancements, because enhancement sales are going to be either be something that we are going to tell ourselves that, boy, we're having a hard time selling enhancements, or we're going to get on the other side of this, and people are going to, property owners are going to be so ready to make a difference, to create some energy and some beauty outside, that enhancement sales could go through the roof, and we better be ready to take care of them. So how can I find the opportunities? I must find the opportunities and get my team involved. Maybe one of the first easiest steps would be to say, hey, listen, I need 10 of the most ridiculous ideas anybody can possibly come up with what we can do for our team or for our customers. And I want the silliest, the sillier, the better. If they're not silly, I'm going to send them back, and you got to be silly. Look for some crazy ideas too, I think, because in doing that, it just gets us thinking and finding the positive ones. So a good one. We know we must be finding opportunity and be aware, helping our team to be involved and find those opportunities. Anything else that we can mess up?
Well, this one's kind of along the same lines, but I know I should be looking for new services to offer and pivoting my business operations, looking for new ideas.
One of the things in what you were saying there, Jim, really struck me. Understanding our clients' problems and issues is a really valuable way of building partnerships with them. And there are new problems and issues that they're facing that we don't understand what each of these businesses is dealing with. I can't imagine property managers right now who have clients in a condominium and 300 people looking down on the grounds that might not be being kept right now, and they don't feel that they can go out onto and share together and such. But asking the questions of our clients, what are the issues that you're facing that we might be able to partner with you to create solutions for? There's a hard conversation typically to start up, but there's never been a better opportunity now. The door is wide open to be able to communicate in a partnering kind of way with our clients, to be able to ask those questions and then discover what are those opportunities that come with that for us to be partnering with them on.
I think you said, we were talking the other day, Scott, you and I, as we were thinking about this, I think it was you talking about the Homeowners Association president that is getting probably a whole lot of emails, phone calls, because there's a lot of people in their condos and homeowners associations that are looking out, seeing grass that's growing and weeds that are maybe coming in, and now they're afraid to answer the phone because they know it's going to be somebody going, when are they going to? When is it going? What can we do? This is looking terrible, and we're not going to have to pay them, are we? And all those kind of questions. And so I was just thinking, because I think I heard in that question, Carrie, that are there any suggestions? And maybe one thing we could offer is in our services as a value add. I don't know how we charge for this yet, but we can find ways, is how we learn to communicate for that board president or for that property manager back to their clients. Who better to be talking about horticulture practices and principles, outside health, and all of us could very easily put together a simple newsletters or a video. The videos are talking to another company the other day where you can hold your iPhone out here and do a great video, and practicing it in a minute or two, and to be able to send that out. And so finding a way that we can engage with our board presidents, our property managers, to help take some of the strain off of them that they're probably getting from their customers and clients. And in doing that, we become so much more than just my landscaper. We become their resource in a much bigger way. So I think with Kurt's question and this question, it just means being able to think. I like what you said, Scott. Think in terms of what the customer is struggling with right now. One more thing, I love the word that was used there, Carrie, if I heard right, and be willing to pivot. Was that the word?
Yeah.
Isn't pivot a great word? Let's think about that for a moment, because probably the most important thing, the question behind the question there is, are you willing to pivot? Everybody that's out there, are you willing to pivot? It sure is a better word for change, but it's change when you bring it to it, isn't it? And but something about pivot means we're doing it intentionally, and we're doing it in a process. So if we're going to make some changes, if we're going to pivot, there's so many good things. We see a goal. We start thinking, how do I start turning towards that goal? What's my plan? What's my action to move in that direction? So I must be willing to pivot. And if I do, the world is my oyster. There's great things that are going to happen and come from it. Any more specifics? You haven't stumped Scott yet. He's all over.
I know. Well, this one here is interesting. So, Steph says, I know I should, but give myself an actual break from the constant hustle. We are programmed to do more, but be more, be better, help more. Can't we just take a pause without the guilt as well? I know I shouldn't be so hard on myself to be more, to create more, to be better organized, clean more, but I am. We should pause too. So how would you reflect to that?
First of all, great question, don't you think, Scott? I mean, just what a realization and an awareness that's going on. So how do we pause without the guilt?
That's the question. I think it's a matter of finding what energizes you. What are the things we need to catch our breath in it, but we also need to be energized, and that's really a part of that whole thing. So, what are the things that that allow you to both individually and collectively catch your breath? Really, in this, I think is part of it. One of the things I've done, just to limit the amount of information that I'm getting. I listen to 2 broadcasts a day. I don't listen to this constant stream. I started doing that a couple of weeks ago, and I found that alone really helped me feel like I'm catching my breath through it, because it just wasn't ever present every hour on the hour or watching news feeds on it. We need to have awareness of it, but hey, if things changed with some newscast that it miraculously went away at lunchtime today, we'd probably find out by 12:07 without having to listen to every single broadcast of correct information and misinformation and well-intended but misguided information. So I think that, personally for me, that's been part of it that's helped me feel like I can catch my breath through this.
That's a wonderful question, because there's so many things that are in that question that we all need to be aware of. And I think that idea of, I think somewhere in it was, how can I give myself a break? So maybe it is, I must be willing to give myself a break and appreciate the things that I've done to this point and look forward to the things that are coming ahead. Guilt is an interesting thing, isn't it? Self-inflicted to a certain extent that we bring on. There's a guilt, and I don't know of anyone that's ever guilted themselves into being more successful. I was just trying to think of that. Who do I know that's really had a guilty complex that has reached any level of success? And I think what they've learned is to see and be aware of asking better questions. Maybe is feeling this way going to get me to where I need to go? That's a wonderful question. That is feeling this way, guilty, going to get me to where I need to go? Is feeling this way upset with my clients for maybe cutting back a contract, or upset with somebody that I lost, or whatever it is that going to help me get to where I needed to go? That is a good question to be asking ourselves. And I'm thinking of this 3x5 card that's in my pocket right now, and I have been writing 3x5 cards since I was a young landscape architect salesperson for Yardmaster in Cleveland, Ohio, writing down the goals, writing them in positive affirmations. So maybe learning to pick up, and I will as a matter of fact, if you give your email address to Carrie, I'll send you a pack of 3x5 cards that you can start writing your anybody that wants them. Would love to send them to you, because I think these can take you any place in the world that you want to go. And so maybe taking that, I wish I could enjoy the pause without being guilty, and turning that around, that I am enjoying the pause and the things that I'm learning and becoming aware of. That, and you read that 5 or 6 or 7 times a day, and it's just like Scott was saying about the car and the reticular activating system that we start to kick in right now. If we're saying to ourselves, reading it, feeling what it feels like, putting it in here and thinking about it, pretty soon we're going to start seeing ourselves as enjoying the pause, getting a lot of things accomplished, being prepared when the pause is no more, and we're hitting it and getting it and moving forward with new energy. So watching our self-talk a bit is an important piece of it. But if there's another one or two, maybe we can get them. And if there's not, we'll take a few minutes and talk about how do we start to create a plan going forward.
Let's see here. So we have one. Oh, where'd it go? Here. So understandably, change is hard. How do individuals and companies switch to the mindset of getting out in the nice weather to pause?
Would have been tougher if they would have said, get out into the ugly weather to pause. Thoughts, Scott?
I don't know that I'm fully understanding the depth of the question there. How do we move from being on pause to ready, set, go? Is that the gist of it, Carrie?
I think I'm hearing somebody say, when you read it to me, I'm thinking, as the nature of our business, of who we are, if we get outside and the sun is shining, what should we be doing mentally? Some of us have been doing it for 40 years or 30 years or 10 years, hitting it and getting it, right? How do we get outside, take that walk without thinking, man, I should be cutting some grass right now. I should be cutting some pavers and putting it in a base or whatever it is. And what I'm hearing is it's great that you have an awareness of that I get out, I feel the warm sun, I want to work. Again, it's self-talk. Maybe it's I get out, I feel the warm sun, I want to think. It's okay to think. It's okay to think. I heard an owner one time, 70-year-old owner, turning his business over to the 40-year-old son. And we were in a meeting and he's talking and he said, son, I won't mind if I come in and see your feet up on the desk, leaning back in your chair, and I know that you're just thinking. It is okay to stop and think. And sometimes we don't we don't do that. And now we've been given that opportunity in the pause. And let's just know that I must make the best use of the sunshine to inspire me to think. And in doing that, I will come back stronger than ever. And 2020 can still be a great year for us, I think is what I hear there. And hopefully that happens. Think about our self-talk. So important. Others?
All right. And that looks to be it. So
good.
You get 10 minutes left.
Scott, what did you learn? What did you learn in the even from the questions that just came in there?
I think there is certainly awareness. People are lurking and searching because it is such an unusual situation, and it's going on longer than what we anticipated. In Ontario, we're on the end of month 1, facing month 2 ahead of us at this point now. So I think looking for those things, and we're all trying to grasp onto what's the new normal, when's this going to end, and we're really operating within a bit of a vacuum and something that we've never experienced before. But I think those are great answers. Those are great questions that we all have. But then focusing on action, as we were talking about. So what do we do? What do we focus on? What do we? Jim, I love the phrase that you used last week, focusing on the things that are happening through us rather than focusing on the things that are happening to us. Mm-hmm. So I think that starts to give context to the time that we still may be on this pause.
Thanks for bringing that up, Scott. That statement, and again, might be one you write down. What's happening through us, and instead of not what's happening to us. It gives us freedom. It gives us energy. It gets rid of a victim mode. Sometimes, and I'm not saying it's true right now, but sometimes people actually enjoy being a victim in a situation, and we've just learned that, and we really don't accomplish a lot being in that victim mode, and so we can put ourselves into that. But stepping back and thinking, what can I do? What can I do to make a difference? What can I do that's happening through me? Yeah, maybe I should send a card. Just think about that. The guy who gets or the gal who gets the card at the other end, there's a difference. Maybe I should help my customers like we've talked here. So look at the things that we can do to make a difference is an important thing. And sometimes we get stopped. Okay, we know, like Scott, I love the training piece. And that the program that you put together, you start thinking about points and scores and things and competition and $100 bills and such, and so we could get almost overburdened with that. And I think when we finally come to the place where I know what I must do, and here it is, we need to ask ourselves better questions. Sometimes better questions will help us. One question that I've always loved, and it comes out of the Working Smarter Training Challenge, is what is the simplest thing I can do? What is the simplest thing I can do? What is the simplest thing I can do to go outside and appreciate the sunshine without worrying about working? What is the simplest thing I can do to start to connect with those new employees that I haven't met yet or haven't started? What is the simplest thing I can do to create some awareness to the opportunities that are going to be there for our commercial customers when we're back at it? What is the simplest thing I can do? Scott, you went through the Working Smarter Training Challenge and for years and still do it. Thoughts on that simple step?
I think that's such a key thing, especially when we're feeling overwhelmed. We can just be, well, there's 17 different things that need my attention this morning. Just paring that down to what is that simplest thing? What's that first step? And then using that to build momentum from there. We need momentum on any initiative that we're working at. So what's that low-hanging fruit for whatever that initiative might be, or even for self-care? What's the thing? I'm sitting at home too much, eating too much, and what's the simplest thing? Well, it could be open the door, put some shoes on, and go for a walk, and appreciate what's out there, and listen to the birds, and look at the new plants coming up. And we've got our grandsons living with us now, and they want to explore the garden every day and see what new plant has come out. They have an awareness, but never like this. And that's when you really start to connect with the environment, when you have that curiosity. Again, I think it's building momentum by whatever that comes at hand.
Yeah. I love the thought of open the door, put some shoes on, and go out. So let's break that down into 3 steps. The simplest thing we can do, if we can't open the door, that's a simple thing. So wouldn't it be funny that, okay, I've opened the door, still not inspired to put my shoes on, but just for the next hour or so, I'm going to leave the door open. And our wife, our spouse, our friends, somebody's going to come along, roommate. What do you have the door setting open for? And you're going to say, well, I'm thinking about taking a walk. Well,
maybe an hour or 2, I'll get to it.
I'll get to it. I know that's a silly thing to be talking about, but there is a process in that. And we teach people, if I have lots of people come up and say, I'd really love to quit smoking. I've been smoking. I can't quit smoking. And the thing that we tell them is, let's change those words. Let's talk about, I am in the process of becoming a non-smoker. That's the way to say it. Instead of I can't smoke, I'm in the process of becoming a non-smoker. Guys, it's so amazing of how many phone calls or emails I've received or letters through the years of thanks. I stopped smoking. Haven't smoked in 6 months. And I am in the process of staying that way. So find the process and just get in the process of developing that training program, developing those new opportunities, and then what's next? Put my shoes on. Open the door, simplest thing. Always ask, that's another good question. Okay, what's next? What's next? And sometimes what's next will take us past the struggle or the obstacle that we're really focused on. Okay, what's next? It's a great thing. If we're feeling blue at any time, and that's what we help people with, and we all battle the blues at times, it's wonderful to ask what's next, because maybe for a moment it gets me out of the current state where I'm at, and I start thinking about what's next. And just this last thing too on creating that plan, simplest thing I can do, what's next? 2 more questions: who and when. And actions without who and whens are just wishes, but you put who's and whens on them, and give a point for doing it or whatever, and create some competition, it will get things accomplished. And so Scott, we thought that maybe that last goal was talking about leaving a legacy and making a difference. And I know the impact that you've had with Come Alive Outside and the things that you've started in Picton and now in so many other areas, not only in Canada, but in the States as well. You've taken some action and made a difference. And I just want to say I appreciate that legacy that you're leaving. So talk to us a bit about taking action and making a difference, the feeling that comes from it, or on the other side of doing that.
Well, I think a lot of it might just tie down to the creative spirit that we all have that ties into our strengths and our interests. And it's different for every one of us. So we shouldn't feel compelled to, do ABC. It's a bit of soul searching, and then, where are my interests? Where are my gifts? Where are my skills? And how do I apply them to serving others with it? And I think the reward and the legacy gets built out of that. And I think part of legacy is also story. It's the narrative. So if we could start with the end in mind and look back, to what are we going to look back on? What's the legacy that us and our families and our companies and our teams are going to have from looking back on this event? And what's that story going to be? And if you start to frame that in those terms, that I think is what legacy is focused around, or at least how it comes out too, both in your self-talk to yourself and how others remember that contribution as well.
Beautiful. Well, thank you for making a difference in the stories that you created. And I think it's awesome. And Carrie, I know we're right there, ready to stop. I'm going to challenge everybody to, if you're looking for something great to do or thought or some inspiration, go to comealiveoutside.com. There's wonderful things on there that just really get us focused back on who we are in our profession as the landscape profession, what we can offer, and the story and the legacy we can leave. We say that legacy is caring enough to take action and make a difference for someone that may not even be born yet. And that's a wonderful thing to think about, not what's happening to us, but what's happening through us. And the instant you set a goal, a light goes on in your future. So set a goal to take some of these ideas and not just should do them, but know that you must do them and move forward with them. And Carrie, thanks for putting this together and giving us the opportunity to have with you and the rest of the team that's on here. We appreciate it. Scott, thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate everybody's time on this, and let's get thinking from survive to thrive. You know, that this profession is going to be just in a wonderful state when we get to the other side of this pause.
Absolutely. Well, on behalf of Landscape Ontario and our LO COVID-19 task force, thank you, Jim and Scott, so much for joining us today. I know everybody can really appreciate all of the positivity that you've shared with us. Thank you to everybody who's tuned in today, and we will be sending out an email with a replay of today's webinar later this afternoon. For more information and up-to-date information on resources in COVID-19, upcoming webinars, you can visit our horttrades.com website. So thank you, everyone, and have a fantastic day. Bye.
Thanks, Carrie.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.